Hello everybody, I'm going to talk about GC Nebosh element 4. In this one, we're talking about work equipment, hazard and risk control. We are going to talk about the working equipment that we are using and also which are the hazard and the risk control in order way to avoid accident, right? So in looking at this context, we have to talk about the general principle for selection and use and maintenance, right? So working equipment refer to a wide range of power tools, machinery and equipment, right? So when you have a power tools that you are using or machines also, it can also lead to hazard and risks also. So I'm going to mention about 5 points in this context, right? Number one, simply hand tools, right? Example of simple hand tools like hammers, screwdrivers, or tissues, right? So also these tools are also can cause hazard. Then also handheld power tools. What are the handheld power tools? Like portable electrical drill and also a circular saw. All these things also can be hazard. It can also damage someone or wound someone. So there should be a control or a control measure. Then point number 3, talking about access equipment such as ladders and step ladders. So these ladders also can also be hazard, because if you don't know how to climb a ladder or you don't have someone to hold the ladder, there is no standing mal, also it can lead to accidents. Then point number 4, a single machine like bench mounting, adhesive wheels and photocopiers and also compactor, right? Also this can also cause hazard, right? So yeah, this machine also needs to be serviced most of the time. Then we're talking about point number 5, mobile working equipment like vehicles, right? And vehicle, right? So what are the equipment like tractor, also mobile cranes, right? All these things have hazard, right? It can be also if you use it wrong way, it can lead to accident. Then we're looking at machine assemble, right? Machine assemble is where several machines are linked together to form a more complex plant, such as bottle plants, right? So they are sometimes putting lots of machines together, like in a plant rooms, right? Machine which can pump water, this one can do this one, you understand? So those machines also can also be risks and hazard at a times, right? In this context, I'm going to talk about stability, right? Stability in working equipment. What are stability, suitability in this context? Suitability simply means that this item that you are using is supposed to be suitable for working, right? It should be good. I'm going to mention 3 points. You have to make sure that all working equipment must be fit for the purpose and for the working environment in which it is being used, right? So this simply means that all equipment should be fit or suited for its use, right? If you have a machine like a hammer, you know that a hammer is supposed to use it to nail something, you understand? Then also, if you know that you have a forklift, you know that forklift is supposed to carry something, not to go and dig ground or dig floor, right? So the equipment that you have should be used for the same purpose that they are meant for. So this is what they mean by suitability, right? Then we're talking about point number 2. Number 2 says that the location where the working equipment is used must be accessible for leaks, right? That means the power tools used in a damp or a flammable atmosphere. So you should have a specific location to put those things, right? Those equipments, right? If the equipment can produce fire or heat, you should have a certain location that you should place them for operation, right? Then we talk number 3, say machine must also be satisfy minimal health and also safety requirements and comply with the country-specific standards, right? In the EU, that is European Union, or the CE mark on the machinery signifies that it conforms to all relevant essential health and safety requirements. So this means all of this machine, like forklifting, this crane machine, they also should be verified or also be authentic, or they have their ISO, international standardized operations, right? So occupations. So they should have all this documentation or this seal on the vehicle. Then in talking about this working equipment hazard, I'm going to mention about preventions of accessing to dangerous parts of machine, right? What are the prevention of accessing to dangerous parts of these machineries? The level of protection, like the hierarchy control, are fixed and enclosement guard, right? So all of these machines should have fixed enclosement guard, right? That they should have a guard around the vehicle. Then also we're talking about number 2, other guards or protection device, right? Like the interlock of these tractors or device guard are pressure mats, right? Then protection appliance, right? You also have protection appliance, right? Like holders and pushing sticks. Then also provisions of information and instruction training and supervision also need to provide also. So these are preventions, right? Then also we're talking about those safeguards used. These safeguards use one of the 3 distinct principles, right? So what are the 3 distinct principles for safeguard? 1, you have to place a physical barrier between the person and the dangerous parts, right? The parts that you want to walk or the items that you want to carry, right? You consider that part to be a dangerous part. So you have to put a cone or a sign that people should not come this area because you are walking, a caution sign. Then number 2, you have to use devices that are only allowing access while the equipment is in safe condition. This self-explanatory. You have to use a device that only allows access while the equipment is in safe condition. Then number 3, you have to detecting a person or the presence or stop the machine. So you have to know that in safeguard, you have to know that whenever someone come around, you have to immediately stop and wait, right? So these 3 things that I mentioned, these are the safeguard that you use. These are the safeguard that you use, which is more necessary. It's called this is called safeguard use, one of the 3 distinct principles. So I'm going to highlight the 3 distinct principles again. You have to place a physical barrier where you are walking, right, between the person and the dangerous part. They have to use a device that is only allow access while equipment is in safe condition, right? Like those alarms on the cranes, you understand. So also you have to detect a person. Whenever a person come around, you have to stop. You have to be conscious of your surrounding, you the operator, right? Or you the bankman, right? Then I'm going further also to explain about other significant principles. What are the other significant principles? I'm going to mention about 6 significant principles. Number 1, you say restriction of use. What is restriction of use? Use of working equipment presently specified risks should also be restricted to competent operator. So only competent operator should allow to use this equipment. Then number 2, informations, instructions and training. Right? This self-explanatory information, instruction, and training. The person should have the information, the operator. It should also have the training and instruction where to work. So All user of this working equipment should also be informed and trained and managed and supervised, should also have adequate information and training to allow them to manage effectively, right? Then number 3 also, the routine check and maintenance. So routine check and maintenance simply means that they should have a specific times that they need to check all this equipment, whether it's forklifting, whether it's crane, to do visibility or to do to check this equipment, whether they are in still working area, nothing is damaged in the machine, you understand. Then we're talking about in this routine check and maintenance must also be done thoroughly and also undertaken by a competent people according to any legal standard or manufacturerly. Recommendation maintenance staff can also be exposed to additional risks, so they need to check by a competence and professional, right, or expertise. Then point number 4 is talking about operational and emergency stop control. Emergency stop control, in case of any emergency, any equipment fail, like they break or break in it, so you have to press the emergency stop. You should have emergency stop. So the operation and emergency stop control should also be located on each items of the machine, and also when activated should also override all over controls, right? So immediately use this e-stop. It's also called e-stops. The machine should also be stopped. These are the last resort for safety, right? So maybe if the brake fail, you can use the e-stop. So the engine, everything can go off also. Then point number 5 is environmental condition. When we're talking about environmental condition, it also simply means that should also ensure that the equipment is stable and in the working station are clear of obstruction, and it also be clear of signs and warning against any risk. So this simply means that if you are working in an open place also, because of the weather condition, it can also affect. So if you know that you are working in a particular place of time all the time, you have to put a condom the area. You have to put shade over that place to prevent the wind, to prevent dust, right? Then point number 6 is use of the machine must also be kept to a proper procedures and also act in a responsible manner. So whenever an employee or an operator, it should work with responsibility. It should always be serious on his work, not to play, laugh like that. You have to be focused on the job, right? Because any accident that occurs can lead to serious injuries, right? So I'm going to proceed further to talk about handheld tools and portable tools. What are handheld tools and portable tools? Simple handheld tools can also cause injury through the user error, or if you misuse this machine also, or a mechanical failure also. Portable power tools presents greatness risks because of the severity of the injury that might be caused, and also another additional hazard presented by each tools. So I'm going to explain about the hazard. First of all, I'm going to explain the categories and the type and the hazard and the injury that this machine can cause, and also the safe use of this control measure, how we can control. If we're talking about handheld tools, number 1, the category. Handheld tools that are used entirely power manual, including axe, winches, hammer, chisels, saw, shovels, and pickaxe, right? These are types of equipment that can use. What are the hazards? The hazard, they can injuries often occur due to misusing or operating incompetence. So if you know that a pickaxe, if you use it wrongly, it can harm you, right? It can cause the hazard. So how we can use it safely? How we can stand to use a shovel, to use a saw? Then what are the injuries that are there? Most contact injuries where part of the body strikes or is hit by the tools itself. So it's direct. It can either hit you direct, the equipment, or it can damage one part of your body, or it can cause wound or bone broke. So these are the injuries. Then we're talking about safe use and control measures. So in this, using this shovel, the pickaxe, use of these tools stable. You have to use them for their proper use for the task, and also the environment, and appropriate trainings of operatives, and also use of the PPE, that is personal protective equipment. You have to use them regularly when you are using this item, these shovels or pickaxe. So you have to use all these items to prevent yourself. Then we're talking about portable power tools. In portable power tools, we're talking about the types. What are the types? An L with an external power source. They use electrical and compressed airs and liquid and fuel, hydraulic. They use all these machines, and powder, accurate, including electrical screwdriver, and pragmatic drillers, and disc cutter or scandal. So these are all electronics, even electronic screws. All these are they are called portable power tools. You understand? So what are the hazards that these tools that they can cause? One, operator errors. If the operator mistake, it can also damage. If misuse, it can also damage the operator. Then improper maintenance can also be at a risk of fire. Fire also can exist because of improper use. You understand? Then flame can also occur. Then vapor, right? Sometimes the machine smell also. Then electrical noise and vibration, dust, emotions, tripping of hazard like power cable, because of high voltage also can lead to power trip. You understand? Then the machine also sometimes it can provide dust, right, or pollute the air. So these are injuries that occurs. Then we're talking about the safety control and measures. Appropriate use for the task and the environment, properly trained in the correct use of tools and use of PPP equipment. You have to use PPP equipment all the time when you are using these items. Also use the safeguard, a clamp, also a safety switch, and routine check. You have to check them thoroughly, and also do inspection thoroughly, and also maintain proper storage. You have to store all this equipment properly. You have to oil them, right? So all these are safety precautions, right? So I'm going to talk about also machinery hazard. What are machinery hazard? According to the ISO, International Standard Organization, 1200 identifies two categories of hazard, right? So what are the two categories of hazard, right? We have mechanical hazard, that is one, right? Then we have non-mechanical hazard. So in mechanical hazard, these are hazards that are caused by people interacting directly with the machine, particularly when they are in motion. So mechanical hazard is when people are using machine. The machine cannot work for itself. It can only be work or be used by people. So when people are using this machine, it can create hazard. So what are the hazard that it can create? You have crushing, right? What is crushing? Crushing is the body or the part of the body trampled between two moving parts of the machine, between the moving and the stable object, short as that they can meet together, right, and collapse, of hydraulic lift crushers, and also a person underneath. So crushing simply means that sometimes machine can climb on top of another equipment or on someone's foot or legs. You understand? It can crush any items that they meet on the way. Then also talking about swearing. What is swearing? It's a part of the body using a finger. It's trampled between two parts of a machine, one moving past, other with some speed, right? This affects like the guttering or the steering of the trampled body parts, right? Then also cutting. right? A mechanical hazard also like cutting. What is cutting, right? Cutting also mean like cutting of edge, damage place. If the wood is very soft, you understand, the way is not clear, it can also lead to damage or cutting. It can also wound someone, you understand, like the saw machine or other thing also. Then enlargement also, this machine also can broad enlargement using an equipment of clothing get cut on the routine parts, right? So sometimes it can also lead to enlargement, these machines, right? Then drawing in or trimple. A part of the body is cut between two moving parts, right? Two moving parts, drawing into a machine, right? One in nipple where two cut rotating rollers meet, right? Then impact. What are the impacts also? Right? A power part of the machine hits a person also, right? It can cause impact. Then stabbing, right? Stabbing or punching, right? A sharp part of the machine or a part of the process injects, also can disturb someone. Then also friction, right? Friction coming into contact with the fast moving surface, right? It can cause friction to someone. Then high pressure or fluid injection. Fluid at a very high pressure is injected from the machine and also penetrates on the skin, right? So this self-explanatory. So machine that you use can provide fluid, you understand? So if you don't protect yourself or wearing gears also, the fluid can also affect you, right? Then we're talking about another category of hazard, because you have the mechanical hazard, you have the non-mechanical hazard. What are the non-mechanical hazard? Non-mechanical hazard, this arise from the use of machine, and also its effect on immediate environment harmful. They can also cause is not necessary through contact with a machine. It might affect people other than the operator himself. This injury cause may also be immediately and acute, right? But may also include long-term damage caused by a lengthy explosion to the hazard, right? So what are the non-mechanical? Let's say like noise. Noise also affects both the user and everybody in the vicinity. Then vibration also. Vibration also can also affect the function of various parts of the body. That affects may also be localized from the holding hands, right, tools. It also may also pass through the whole body, right? So also these are also non-mechanical hazard, right? Like noise, vibration, electrical hazard. You're talking about temperature, yes, and radiation. Radiation also from the sun or from some of the machine that produce more high heat. You understand? Then hazardous materials like substance, some certain chemical also. Then ergonomic also can cause this problem also. Then I'm going to talk about the control measures, right? The control measure for reducing risks from machine hazard. What are the control measures to reduce the risks from machine hazard? The control measure are, you have to fix, number one, I'm going to mention about maybe 7 points. Number one, you have to fix guard, right? So fixed guard is physical barrier. You have to put barrier in this equipment, right, to prevent people from coming in or going out unless it's authorized, right? So then sometimes you have to also, number two, you have to put interlock guard. Interlock guard is the link of the primary guard system to the secondary safety device to complete the stoppage or prevent machine operation, right? Then number three, you have to put adjustment guard. Adjustment guard also is very necessary. All this is self-explanatory. Then number four, you have to put self-adjust guard, right? Then also point number five, you have to put sensitive protective equipment, right? Like if the equipment slip, you understand which one will lead to trip to stop that trip. Then another one, we're talking about two-hand controller, right? Two-hand controller also. These are often means of protecting the hand of the operator while guarding in the interpacts, right? So this all is self-explanatory. Then also holding to a run controller, right? It requires the operator to hold a control at all times while the equipment or the machine is in operation, right? Then emergency stops also. This machine also should have emergency stops. Then you have to have protective appliance. Protective appliance also should be there to control the handheld tools and also fix the device, which allow the operator so control of the working piece, but often less protection. Then personal protective equipment also, the person or they should have personal protective equipment like the masks, the elements, the boots, the gloves, you understand. Then employer must also provide information and instruction and training and supervision, right? So they should also provide supervision, right? Then I'm going to talk about the types of guide and the merits and the weakness and the means of overriding, right? So what is types of guide here? Types of guide here like fix, when you want to fix items. No moving parts can also be the merits. No moving parts also can also be interfered with by the operator, virtually maintenance free. Then what are the weakness? Weakness are like the machine will also be still operating with a guard mover. Then what are the means of overriding? Special tools for removing may also be too widely available, right? Then what are interlock? Types of guard like interlock. Interlock require some effort to detect, right? If interlock to detect. Then also the weakness, it can also be bypass so that the machine can operate with the guard over. Then connection, then means of overriding. Connection may be bent out of the place and spare magnets may also be used. Then I'm going to talk about basic requirements for guarding and safe device. Guarding mean like this barrier, like if you are using a crane machine, like where you supposed to go and you don't supposed to go when you are operating the crane machine. When you are up the machine, your movements, you understand. So in case of there is something like vibration, you should not go up and down, so something that will control you, right? So we're talking about the basic requirements for guarding and safe device. Number one, we talk about suitable for the intended purpose, right? So whatever purpose you are using this machine also should be suitable. It should use for the right purpose. A forklifting should use for a lifting equipment. Then also meeting relevant standard. So they should also verify whether it meets the standard of operation, right? Verify this item with whether verify this lift equipment whether it's still good. Then point number 3, strong and robust, right? To withstand the force, it may also be subjected to ejection of the parts, right? So whenever you are doing hard work, they should also check this forklifting or this crane equipment. Then compatible, right? Compatible. What is compatible? That is point number 4. Must not be interfere with the machine operation, right? Then number 6 says no rough or sharp edge, right? So in this machine, make sure that this crane machine, all the edge there should not be sharp or rough, you understand? You should find something to make everywhere very soft. Maybe you cannot injure yourself, right? Then vision must also not be interfered with. You should always make sure that if the forklift or the crane they have a glass, it should always be clear, right? Not in a dark, putting sun protection, you understand, on the forklifts or the crane machines, right? Then ventilation also, right? You should always have ventilation so you can have wind inside or fresh air or the AC, right? Then easy of maintenance. This machine or this forklifts or this requirement, it should always have a specific time to do maintenance. Then removal for maintenance, always there should be time for maintenance. Then does not increase overrolling risks to the operation. So you should not overload this equipment. You need to carry, they need to, when they are using a crane, they have to use a specific weight, right? Not to carry things that is more heavier than the machine, right? So we're talking about machine hazard and protection. Machinery hazard and protection, right? Like a photocopier. Photocopier, what are the hazards? Drawing in and enlargement, electrical or hot parts. Fix and interlock guard. Then we're talking about paper stapler. Cutting and drawing in electrical. The protection is fix and interlock guard. Then bench top guild, right? Cylinder mover. Then talking about cylinder mover. Cylinder movers, cutting impact and enlargement, noise and vibration, right? Fixing guard or PPP, you should have PPP equipment, right? Then we're talking about streamer, brush cutter, right? So these are cutting, enlargement, punctuation, they provide noise and vibration. You have to fix a guard or a PP protective element when you are using all these things. So to conceptualize all this one, these are the machinery hazard and protection, right? So in every equipment that you are using, right, you should always use the preventive measures, how you can protect yourself or not be harmed, how you can protect others from not having injuries from this machine that you are using. So I stop here. Thank you very much.